dad-perfect events. I didn't scream when my son Terry pushed me down those basement stairs. I just laid there in the dark, tasting blood, listening to his footsteps fade away upstairs. His girlfriend Michelle's voice drifted through the floorboards above me. Maybe now he'll finally get the message, she said with a laugh. I was 65 years old. My wrist was definitely broken, and my ribs felt like someone had taken a baseball bat to them, but I didn't call out for help. Instead, I pulled out my phone with my good hand and made one call to my old FBI partner, Gene Fletcher. "Gene," I said quietly, "it's time to collect on that favor you owe me. My name is Harold Reynolds. Most folks around here just call me Hal. For the last 3 years, I've been what you'd call retired from the Cleveland Police Department. Put in 30 years as a detective, worked everything from burglary to homicide. Started late, didn't join the force until I was 32, after spending my 20s bouncing between construction jobs and trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. But once I found police work, I knew I'd found my calling. These days I spend my time fixing things around the house, going fishing on Lake Erie, and visiting my late wife Carol's grave every Sunday morning. Got a nice workshop set up in the garage, been making birdhouses for the neighbors. Simple life, quiet life. The kind of retirement I dreamed about during those long nights working homicide cases. But that night, lying at the bottom of my own basement stairs, I wasn't thinking about retirement or fishing or birdhouses. I was thinking about how my own son had just tried to steal everything I'd worked for my entire life. Let me back up and tell you how I ended up here. Carol died 3 years ago, right around the time I retired. Cancer took her fast. 1 month she was complaining about being tired. The next month she was gone. The timing was cruel. All those years I'd worked overtime and weekends, telling myself I'd make it up to her when I retired. Then retirement came, and she wasn't there to enjoy it with me. Terry grieved for maybe 2 weeks before he started talking about moving back in with me. "Dad, you're all alone in that big house," he kept saying. "I lost my job at the insurance company, and honestly, I could help you out. Keep you company." I should have seen the warning signs right then. Terry was 34 years old and had been bouncing between jobs for the last 10 years. He'd work for 6 months, get fired for something stupid, then come asking me for money to tide him over until the next opportunity. But I was lonely after Carol died, grieving, and the idea of having family around seemed like it might help fill the empty space she'd left behind. That was my first mistake. Terry moved in about 6 months ago, bringing his girlfriend Michelle with him. She was 29, worked part-time at some real estate office downtown, and had expensive taste in everything from jewelry to cars to restaurants. Right away, I noticed things changing around the house. They took over the master bedroom, said the guest room was too small for both of them and all their stuff. Then they started treating my house like it was theirs. "Dad, can you keep it down?" "I'm trying to work," Terry would say when I was watching TV in my own living room at 7 p.m. "Dad, we need to borrow your truck today." Michelle's car is acting up again. Always something, always an excuse, always a reason why their problems had to become my problems. The utilities started going up. The grocery bills doubled. Michelle would come home with shopping bags from expensive stores, then complain about how tight money was getting. "Maybe we should look into getting you on a fixed income budget," she suggested one day. "You know, to help manage your expenses better." Manage my expenses. In my own house, with my own money, but what really got my attention was the mail. See, after 30 years as a detective, you develop certain habits. You notice things. Small details that don't quite add up, and I started noticing mail coming to my house addressed to companies I'd never heard of. Terry being real secretive with his laptop, closing it whenever I walked into the room. Michelle suddenly wearing jewelry that cost more than her monthly salary. That's when I decided to do what any good detective would do. I started investigating my own son. I began paying closer attention to everything. Where they went, when they came back, who they talked to on the phone. Started keeping a little notebook, just like back in my police days. Monday. Terry goes to job interview, comes back 3 hours later with no interview materials, smelling like beer. Tuesday. Michelle claims she's working late, but her office closes at 5 p.m. Wednesday. Envelope arrives from First National Bank, addressed to Summit Property Holdings, LLC, a name I'd never heard in my life. Last month, while Terry was out supposedly job hunting and Michelle was at her real estate office, I decided to search the house. Started with their bedroom, then moved to what used to be my home office, found a folder hidden in the back of the bottom drawer of the desk. Inside were documents that made my blood run cold. A power of attorney form with my signature on it, except I never signed any power of attorney. Not for Terry, not for anyone. Bank statements showing withdrawals from my retirement account, $15,000 here, $20,000 there, $12,000 somewhere else. All authorized by someone claiming to have legal authority over my finances. My own son had been forging my signature and stealing my retirement money. I sat in that chair for a long time, just staring at those papers. See, that retirement account represents 30 years of police work. Every overtime shift I pulled, every holiday I worked instead of spending with Carol, every dangerous domestic violence call I answered at 2 a.m., every drug dealer I chased through back alleys, every murder scene I processed, all of it went into building up that $380,000 nest egg. It was supposed to be my security, my independence, my way of living with dignity in my old age. And Terry was stealing it piece by piece, document by document, lie by lie. I photographed every single document with my phone, making sure to get clear shots of the forged signatures and the bank statements. Put everything back exactly where I found it. Then went downstairs to make myself a turkey sandwich like nothing had happened. But inside, I was already planning my next move. That night at dinner, I watched them both real careful. Terry couldn't look me in the eye, kept pushing his mashed potatoes around his plate without eating much. Michelle kept checking her phone and smiling at something. I decided to test the waters, see how far this thing had gone. Terry, I said, cutting into my meatloaf, I've been thinking about doing some financial planning. Maybe we should sit down and go over my accounts together. You know, make sure everything's in order for the future. The color drained right out of his face. His fork stopped moving completely. Sure, Dad, but you know you don't really need to worry about all that complicated stuff anymore. I've been helping you manage things. Managing things how? Michelle jumped in real quick, that fake sweet voice she'd been using for months. Your father just means he's been keeping an eye on your bills, making sure everything gets paid on time. You know how confusing all that paperwork can be these days? Confusing paperwork? Like I hadn't been managing my own finances for 40 years. Like I hadn't balanced budgets for the police department's detective unit. Like I was some senile old fool who couldn't read a bank statement. I appreciate that, I said, but I think I'd like to review everything myself. Tomorrow I'm going to call the bank and have them send me statements for the last 6 months, just to see where things stand. Terry's fork clattered against his plate. His face went white as paper. Dad, you really don't need to do that. I mean, everything's fine. All your bills are current, your accounts are healthy. There's no reason to trouble yourself with all those numbers and details. Then you won't mind if I double check. The silence in that dining room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Michelle was staring at Terry, and Terry was staring at his plate like it might give him the right answer. That's when I knew for certain they were both in on it together. Look, old man, Michelle snapped, dropping the fake sweet voice completely. You're not as sharp as you used to be. Terry's been keeping you from making financial mistakes, and instead of being grateful, you're giving us grief. Old man. In my own house, at my own dinner table. I see, I said quietly. And what kind of mistakes have I been making? Terry looked like he wanted to disappear into his chair. He knew how this was going to go, but Michelle was just getting started. Well, she said, getting bolder by the minute. Last week you left the stove on for 3 hours. Could have burned the house down, and you forgot to pay the electric bill twice this month. Good thing Terry caught it. I hadn't left any stove on. I've been cooking for myself since Carol died 3 years ago. Never had a single problem. And the electric bill gets automatically deducted from my checking account, has for the last 10 years. But I could see where this was heading. They were building a story, piece by piece, trying to make me look incompetent, confused, unreliable, setting up a narrative so they could justify taking over my finances completely. That's interesting, I said, because I never left any stove on, and the electric bill gets automatically paid from my account. Has since 2014. Terry's hands were shaking now. Dad, see, this is exactly what we're talking about. You don't even remember setting up autopay. I had to fix that when you forgot to pay last month. Terry, I said, looking right at him, did you forge my signature on a power of attorney document? The question hung in the air like a live grenade. Michelle stopped chewing. Terry stopped breathing. The kitchen clock ticked loudly on the wall. Dad, it's not what you think. What I think is that you've been stealing from me. What I think is that you've been planning to have me declared incompetent so you can take over my house and my retirement account. What I think is that you've forgotten who raised you and taught you the difference between right and wrong. That's when Terry exploded. He stood up so fast his chair tipped over backward, crashed into the wall behind him. His face was red with anger and something else. Fear, maybe, or panic. You self-righteous old fool. Do you have any idea what it costs to live today? Do you know what I've been through since I lost my job? We needed that money. You needed MY money. It's going to be mine eventually anyway. I'm just taking it a little early. Michelle was nodding along like this all made perfect sense. We're your family, Harold. We deserve to be taken care of. After everything Terry's been through, after all the help we've given you around here, help. Like moving into my house rent-free and eating my food and using my utilities was helping me. What help? I asked. You mean taking over my bedroom? Running up my bills, stealing my retirement money. We haven't stolen anything, Michelle said. We've been managing your finances because you can't handle them anymore. Deserve. Manage. These people had an excuse for everything. A justification for every lie they'd told and every dollar they'd stolen. Get out, I said quietly. What? You heard me. Both of you, pack your stuff and get out of my house. Terry's face twisted with rage. This isn't just your house anymore, Dad. Check the property records. I'm on the deed now. I have legal rights here. You forged documents to get on that deed. Prove it. Who's going to believe some confused old man over official paperwork? Who's going to take your word over legal documents filed with the county? That's when he completely lost control. I was standing near the basement door, and Terry just snapped. All that fake concern, all those months of pretending to care about my well-being, all of it fell away and showed me exactly who my son really was. He put both hands on my chest and shoved as hard as he could. I went backward through that doorway and tumbled down 13 wooden steps, hitting every single one on the way down. The basement floor was concrete, unforgiving. When I finally stopped rolling, the pain was immediate and overwhelming my wrist, my ribs, my hip, the back of my head. I could taste blood in my mouth, metallic and warm above me. I heard Michelle laugh. Actually laugh. Maybe now he'll finally get the message. Is he moving? Terry's voice uncertain now, like maybe he was starting to realize what he'd just done. Who cares? Come on, let's go get dinner. We'll deal with him later. Deal with him later. Like I was a problem to be solved instead of his father lying broken at the bottom of basement stairs. Their footsteps faded away. I heard the front door slam, heard Terry's car start up in the driveway. The house went quiet, except for the hum of the old furnace in the corner. I lay there in the dark for maybe 10 minutes, taking inventory like they taught us in first aid training. Broken wrist for sure, I could see the bone pushing against the skin. Ribs cracked or bruised, hard to tell which. Hip banged up, but probably not broken since I could still move my leg. Head bleeding from where it hit the concrete, but not gushing. I'd had worse injuries chasing down suspects in my younger days, but I'd never been hurt by my own son before. That was a different kind of pain entirely. I pulled out my phone and called Gene Fletcher. Gene and I worked together for 15 years before he retired from the FBI. If anyone could help me build a case against Terry that would stick, it was him. Gene knew how to gather evidence, how to work the system, how to make sure the bad guys actually faced consequences. How? Jesus, what time is it? Gene, I need your help. My son just pushed me down my basement stairs. There was a pause. I could hear him sitting up, getting serious. What? Are you hurt? Do you need an ambulance? I need a lawyer and a prosecutor more than I need a doctor right now. Can you get me a meeting with District Attorney Lisa Park? Hal, slow down. What's going on? So I told him everything. The forged documents, the stolen money, the fake incompetency story they were building, how they'd been living in my house and bleeding me dry. How Terry had just assaulted me when I confronted them about it. When I finished, Gene was quiet for a long moment. How much evidence do you have? Photo of the forged documents on my phone. Bank statements showing unauthorized withdrawals. And now assault charges with medical evidence to back it up. Can you prove Terry forged the signatures? I'm betting a handwriting expert can. Plus, I never gave him power of attorney for anything. And I've got bank employees who can testify I never authorized any of those withdrawals in person. What about witnesses to the assault? Michelle saw the whole thing. She laughed about it. I doubt she'll testify against Terry, but she's an accomplice to the financial crimes. All right, give me 2 hours. I'll call Lisa Park at home. She owes me a favor from that police corruption case we worked together last year. After I hung up, I carefully made my way upstairs. Every step sent shooting pains through my ribs and hip. Terry and Michelle were long gone, probably at some restaurant celebrating their victory, toasting their success with my stolen money. I went to my bedroom and got out the digital camera I use for my fishing trips, took pictures of my injuries from every angle, the swelling on my wrist, the bruises already forming on my ribs, the cut on the back of my head, made sure to include timestamps and close-ups that would hold up in court. Then I called my neighbor, Mrs. Patterson. "Harold, are you all right? You sound strange. Helen, I need a witness. Could you come over and document some injuries I sustained in a fall?" Mrs. Patterson had been a nurse for 30 years before she retired. She came right over, took one look at me, and insisted we go to the emergency room. But first, she carefully photographed and documented every bruise and cut, noting the time and circumstances in her precise handwriting. "Harold," she said while bandaging the cut on my head, "what really happened here? This doesn't look like a simple fall. I was pushed down my basement stairs by my son." Her face went white. "Terry did this to you? Terry and his girlfriend have been stealing my retirement money." When I confronted them about it tonight, he shoved me down the stairs. "Oh my God. Have you called the police?" "I'm calling someone better than the police." At the emergency room, they x-rayed everything. Confirmed broken wrist, 3 cracked ribs, severe bruising on my hip and back, minor concussion from hitting my head on the concrete. The doctor was a young woman, maybe 35, with kind eyes and gentle hands. "Mr. Reynolds," she said while wrapping my wrist, "can you tell me how this happened? I was pushed down my basement stairs by my son during an argument." She stopped wrapping and looked at me directly. "Pushed? Are you saying this was intentional?" "Yes." He put both hands on my chest and shoved me backward through the basement door. She wrote that down word for word in my medical chart. "Mr. Reynolds, I'm required to report suspected elder abuse to Adult Protective Services. I appreciate that, doctor, but I'm already working with law enforcement to handle this situation." The next morning, Jean called me back. "Lisa Park wants to see you today at 2 p.m. Bring everything you've got." District Attorney Lisa Park was younger than I expected, maybe 45, but she had the sharp eyes of someone who'd prosecuted plenty of family crime cases. Her office was neat, organized, professional, reminded me of my old desk back at the precinct. I laid out all the evidence across her conference table, the photos of forged documents, the bank statements showing unauthorized withdrawals, the medical records from my emergency room visit, Mrs. Patterson's witness documentation. "This is textbook elder abuse," she said, after reviewing everything for 20 minutes. "Financial exploitation, document fraud, and assault. Mr. Reynolds, if we can prove your son forged these signatures, he's looking at 3 to 5 years in state prison. Can you prove it? I've got a handwriting expert who's testified in over 200 cases." Never been successfully challenged, but Harold, I need to ask, are you absolutely sure you want to press charges against your own son? This will destroy your relationship permanently. I thought about that question, thought about Carol and what she would want me to do. Thought about the 30 years I'd spent putting criminals in jail, regardless of who their families were. Thought about Terry's hands on my chest, pushing me backward into the dark. He stopped being my son when he decided to rob me and leave me to die at the bottom of basement stairs. All right then, let's build a case. 2 days later, Terry and Michelle came back to the house. I was sitting in my kitchen with my arm in a cast, waiting for them. When Terry walked through the door and saw me, his face went through about 5 different emotions in 3 seconds. "Dad, what happened? Are you okay?" He came running over, all concerned now, like he hadn't been the one who put me in this condition. "You know exactly what happened, Terry." Michelle stayed by the door, looking nervous. Her expensive jewelry was gone, I noticed. Probably pawned it already. "Harold, you look terrible. Did you have some kind of accident?" "No, Michelle, I was assaulted." Terry's acting fell apart pretty quick. "Dad, look, things got heated the other night. I didn't mean for you to get seriously hurt, but you did mean to steal my retirement money. We can work this out. We're family. We can figure out some kind of arrangement that works for everyone." That's when Detective Gary Bennett from my old precinct walked through my front door, along with 2 uniformed officers. Gary was one of the young detectives I'd trained before I retired. Good kid, thorough investigator, respected the job. "Terry Reynolds," Gary said, pulling out his handcuffs, "you're under arrest for elder abuse, financial fraud, assault, and identity theft." The look on Terry's face was something I'll never forget. Pure shock, Like he couldn't believe there were actually consequences for what he'd done. Like he thought being my son gave him some kind of immunity from the law. Dad, you can't do this to me. I'm your son. You stopped being my son when you decided to rob me. They read him his rights and cuffed him right there in my kitchen. Michelle tried to run, but one of the uniforms caught her at the front door. Turned out she had outstanding warrants for credit card fraud in 2 other counties. The trial took 8 months. Terry's public defender tried every trick in the book, claimed I was confused, that Terry was just trying to help manage my finances, that the whole thing was a misunderstanding between family members. But the evidence was overwhelming. The handwriting expert testified that Terry had definitely forged my signature on multiple documents. Bank employees confirmed I'd never authorized any of the withdrawals in person. Mrs. Patterson testified about the extent of my injuries and Terry's callous attitude. The emergency room doctor testified about the assault pattern she'd documented. When they put me on the witness stand, I walked the jury through my 30 years of police work, case by case, showing them I was as sharp as I'd ever been. Explained how I'd investigated Terry's crimes using the same methodical approach I'd used on hundreds of other cases. Terry's lawyer tried to paint me as a vindictive old man going after his own son out of spite. But when I described finding those forged documents, when I told them about Terry pushing me down those stairs and Michelle laughing about it, you could see the jury's faces change. They understood this wasn't about family drama. This was about crime. The jury took 4 hours to convict him on all charges. Terry got 4 years in state prison, lost his insurance license permanently, had to pay back every penny he stole, plus $75,000 in punitive damages. Michelle got 18 months for fraud and conspiracy. The judge also voided every document Terry had forged, giving me back complete control of my house and finances. That was 10 months ago. I haven't heard from Terry since the sentencing. Haven't tried to contact him either. Some people say I should forgive him. That family is family. Those people never had their own son try to rob them blind and leave them for dead. I live alone now in my house. Fixed up that basement, real nice new stairs, with a proper railing, good lighting, turned it into a workshop. Got my fishing gear organized down there, my woodworking tools. It's become my favorite room in the house. Every Sunday I still visit Carol's grave and tell her about my week. Last week I told her about the letter I got from the state prison. Terry wants me to visit him. I threw the letter away. I'm 65 years old now. I've got maybe 15 good years left if I'm lucky. I'm not going to spend them forgiving someone who tried to steal my dignity along with my money. Terry showed me who he really was when he pushed me down those stairs. I believed him, and I did something about it. That's the difference between justice and revenge. Justice goes through the proper channels. Justice respects the law. Justice makes sure the punishment fits the crime. I chose justice, and it felt exactly right. Sometimes the hardest thing about family is learning when to walk away from the people who share your blood, but not your values. Real strength isn't about forgiving everyone who hurts you. It's about protecting yourself from those who would destroy you, even when they call themselves family.